watching too, is you got Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, two interesting parts. Everybody's focus is on LeBron and coming home and all of that yesterday. And I still believe that a lot of the people a lot of the players were overpassing yesterday, and I think LeBron at times was too, because everybody, it's LeBron's night, and nobody wants to step on anybody's toes. Once you start stepping on some toes, then you'll get this thing figured out, because everybody will start to get competitive and mesh together. But Kyrie Irving, people's questions with him were, how's he going to change? He's got the contract here. He's got, is he going to be a different player now with the new players around him and that? I liked what we saw from Kyrie last night. There were times in the second half when he was the person on offense who took control, drove the ball to the hoop, some nice crossovers to get him to the hoop. He was not afraid to drive the ball last night. So I liked what there was some times he played defense. Matter of fact, he swatted a pass away earlier in the game, and I said, nice defense by Kyrie. And I looked at little Jerry and I said, okay, I'm not going to lie. I don't know how many times I've ever said that before in my life. So I just realized I've never said that before. And then he swatted a shot. He blocked a shot later in the game. And I said, man, he's trying to play a little defense today. And Kevin Love, a lot of people got to look at his game for the first time. It slowed down. They didn't go to him anywhere near as much later in the game, but early on, he was getting open. He was shooting the ball, and that first 94-foot outlet pass, I looked at Jerry, I said, man, you try passing a chest pass 12 feet, let alone 94 feet on the fly like that. When you see that fly and LeBron just runs the post and dunks it, you go, yeah, I can see how this is going to get some fast breaks going in the future too. But I liked what we saw from Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. What about you?
Yeah, and again, you can see that seed there. You can see there's enough raw talent, and that's really what I was hoping for last night, and really hoping for here these first few weeks, is that the raw talent, while not meshing together, will still be enough to win most of the games that they're playing. And I think they will. I think they'll be all right. Once they get back home and start playing teams from the East and kind of get into a rhythm, they will start to win some games. But yeah, it was hoping that there'd be enough talent to pull that off, and there wasn't last night. So there's still work to be done. But yeah, you can still see. You saw it with Love. You saw a little bit with the other Waiters. You saw, I mean, in LeBron, even with LeBron struggling as much as he was, you could basically just imagine. Okay, picture if LeBron wasn't having a horrible night, and just that he threw in another 15 points, 10 points, whatever, and what kind of a team, what kind of a game this would have been. You could just visualize the what was missing, the void there, and say that void's usually going to be there, and they're going to be okay. So yeah, there was enough there. There's any number of issues that need to be addressed, but we've got 81 games to do it before everybody just kind of needs to take a deep breath. The expectations were astronomical. This is really a good thing, honestly. I like that this kind of happened right away. Everyone can just kind of reassess and say, all right, this team's not going to win 70 games, may not win 60 games, and that's okay. Everyone needs to be okay with that. It is not about that. We had two back-to-back teams. LeBron's last two teams won more than 60 games. One set a franchise record with 66. Probably not going to get there, but that team won 66, didn't even get to the finals. I will take a team that wins 50, 55, and does get to the finals over that team.
That's exactly where I'm at, my man. I'm telling you, the other day, the expectations were ridiculous. My stepbrother called me. He almost went off the side of the road. He goes, Jerry, what's the NBA record for wins? I said 72. He goes, I'm listening to such and such radio station on the FM dial, and the guy, not a caller, the guy that's hosting this thing just said it's a disappointment if these Cavaliers don't beat the NBA record for wins in a season. They should cakewalk. I'm like, wait, come on, man, look. I mean, seriously? I got to talking last week on the show. It got me mad. I said the best team in think about the Cavs right before LeBron left. With those guys, he won 66 games. That's, first off, that's almost the NBA record. It doesn't matter because it all fell apart in the playoffs. But, like, do you know how hard that is? Do you know how hard 60 5+ wins is, but to set the expectations, because there's people listening that are hearing that and thinking, man, well, if the guy on the radio said it, then we should be able to win 82 games. We're going to never lose a game at home this year. And
right.
I said, man, that's wrong, man. I said, this is a 50-55 win team, man, and I'm good with that. I think, didn't the first Heat team, when they win about 55 and go to the finals that first year? I think their best team only won 58 games in the regular. I could be off. They could have won 60+ down the stretch there. But regardless, I mean, when I heard that, I'm like, see, that's what's wrong, is people are telling people this, and then now you lose a game. So I'm glad, like you said, I'm glad it happened early, because people woke up today and went, oh, well, there's still 81 more games to go, man. Okay, I guess they're not going to win them all. That's,
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because when you have, not only is it difficult to have such high disappointment, but it also intones that this is easy, that it's going to be easy for the Cavs, and it's going to be easy for us, that you almost don't have to earn it, that it's just being handed to you, and that's not the case. I want cost, right, for Cleveland, if nothing else, but I don't want it to feel like, oh well, here it is, just take it. That just wouldn't feel right. It would I still want this to have this. I'm not expecting them to cruise to a title from here on. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But if and when they do win it, I want to have that sense of, wow, this was a journey. This was an adventure. This was a year-long struggle. This was something that we really had to. I don't want to feel like, well, yep, you won 75 games and won all games by 20 points, swept through the playoffs. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I will take this. But a little bit like after 50 years, like, huh? You're just going to hand it to us? Like, that's not how Cleveland doesn't want it that way. Cleveland's all about work ethic and earning things. They don't want to be handed. They don't even want to have the interpretation being handed something easy. It shouldn't be easy. After 50 years, this should be hard. It needs to be hard. Like anything worth having in life, you making it all the more sweeter when you do achieve it.
Absolutely. Like you just said, winning teams sweeping their way through the first rounds of the playoffs and not dropping a game, and all the way to a title. Then, bam, you hit Orlando, and then all of a sudden, boom, we all know. So it's that. And like I looked at Jerry after the game last night. I said, well, I guess it's better to lose the first game at home and win the last one than the other way around because, so who knows where it's going to go. But it's not the end of the world. There's 81 more of these things to go.
81 to go. I mean, 6 months. I mean, you really got to suck that up. I mean, Cleveland's not used to this. Honestly, we're not used to having really high expectations for a team and then being let down. I mean, the closest thing I can think of is back after the 95 Indians won 100 games and had that incredible season, and then had a good offseason going into 96 and had Jack McDowell and Julio Franco. There was that expectation going into 96 of, oh my God, this team's going to win 120 games.
Yeah.
They're just going to cruise. They're going to crush everybody. And then they come right out of the gate, just like the Cavs did last night, and just laid an egg. That first week, they lost their first 2 games by the Yankees, those first 2 games, and everyone just panicked and said, wait a minute, no, they're supposed to win 120. Like, no. No, that's not how this works. That is, no matter what your expectation, even from the off season to the regular season, whatever the expectation is, it's going to be different. It's not. It's in a way that's good. Get everybody level set right at the beginning, and now we can sort of begin this season. The season can begin here in the next week or two. It's this progress and see this team start to evolve because there's much better basketball to be played, and we will see it. As I said, there's too much talent, and once they start to play together, it will be even more fulfilling to see this team start to march. That's going to be fun when they do start to come together because we started here. We started last night and said, okay, this is not fun to watch. Yeah, look how far they've come.
Yeah, remember that first night of the season, and you just reminded me of the year that we thought Blackjack McDowell top, baby. We said, oh, man, here we go. 96. Well, yes, indeed, man. Well, speaking of baseball, real quick end to that thing, man. What were your thoughts there as baseball wrapped up?
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, in reality is we really for a 7-game series. The 7th game was good. I mean, that was really awe, and they saved the best for last, so good for them. But yeah, I mean, as much as I wanted the Royals, and really thought they were, in that 9th inning when 2 outs and they wind up with 2 errors and a triple, and a go, and then pop out and that's it. So. Yeah, a tough finish. I really would have liked to have seen Kansas City. I think I was doing what a lot of is I was kind of, every time the Royals played, if you kind of squint, you can pretend it's the Indians because there were so many similarities and small market, all of these things coming out of nowhere. Such a good story. But yeah, a disappointing finish to be sure. And I really can't. That's better than the Yankees winning 3 titles in 5 years. But I'm not crazy about anybody winning 3 titles in 5 years. Now it's okay. Somebody needs to end this. I'm not a big fan of dynasties. This needs to stop now.
Well, they're not going to win it next year, so you got a reprieve. It'll be 2
they'll
years.
Win it
Yes, that's what we do again. So the Indians' window is this year. If I'm any other team in baseball, I'm going, all right, look, guys, because we know San Francisco is going to win this thing next year. So we have this year. Let's go get it. But
with an odd number year. So step 1, win the All-Star game.
Well, you talk about expectations, and we can talk about this more later. What kind of expectations are every time he takes the mound after he's been elevated status in this? Every time he takes the early part of next season because of the rep that he gained from people that, because a lot of times people don't notice stuff until it's then, and people that don't watch baseball know who that name is. A different level of expectation for him come next season. It's gonna be fun to see because boy, does he can pitch, man. That's for sure.
Just face it right now. He will never hit the radar as good as dominant as he was in this series. I mean, if you were going to pick her, because he's had success in previous World Series with time to be successful and be dominant. This Jackson, you look at other guys who are more or less famous. Joe Namath in football, had one. Not to say that they weren't good players, but if you're going to be a legendary type of player, you're more you do in your career. So even if Bumgarner goes out and does fall off and it never pitches again or never pitches effectively again, he'll still be remembered fondly as this dominant pitcher, this World Series Mr. October type of guy. So yeah, I mean, and there again, something Cleveland's on our best days, we have the opposite. We have the guys who have really good regular seasons and then not so much in the playoffs. There's maybe Chad O.J. is our Mr. October. That's close to what we're gonna get.
Chad O.J. We're going all deep into the '90s name. Hey, speaking of that, pitchers with expectations, we're going to see that ourselves next year with Corey Kluber and how he now has a completely different set of expectations every time he takes the mound. They're going to expect the Red Sea to part, and that's a tough one. It's always coming back and doing it again that makes it, that's what makes the greats different from just the really, really good.
Right.
So
that's where the Cleveland athlete tends to struggle. They tend to struggle putting 2 good years together. Getting 1 good year, that's okay, that's good. It's getting that second consecutive year, and not just the Indians, but across the board generally. It's very difficult to put that second year together. Peyton Hillis, Justin Masterson, on through the list. It's tough to put together 2 very good seasons. So that's it's good. The tough road to hoe for Corey Kluber in 2015.
What a Halloween here for JK. He's dropping all the ghosts of Cleveland sports past here
really
on us, man.
Yeah, they're our demons, the demons of our past, yeah.
Literally, man. All right, let's wrap it up. Browns, man, where are you at? They win an ugly one against the Raiders. They got Tampa coming up here. What are your thoughts on what they've done or haven't done since they lost Alex Mack, how they've circled the wagons here while they're waiting to get the running game back? Where you at on the Browns right now?
Well, I was impressed that they did win on Sunday because that really did start to take on the flavor of the Jacksonville game. I think that they really could have easily lost. I know they won by 10 and had a 17-point lead late, but really that game was up for grabs. And if you take away 1 or 2 of those turnovers, and it's a very different game. I mean, that goes right down to the wire. And I think this week will be very much the same, unfortunately, even though Tampa struggling as much as they are. You nailed it on the head. Alex Mack being out. It is now impossible to ignore the significance of that. We were worried about it when it happened, and we kind of hoped that they'd be able to recover and it would not cripple the running game. It has crippled the running game. There may be other factors involved, but that's it. I mean, there's no clear line of delineation between before Alex Mack and after. That's 2 straight games now against bad teams that the Browns are averaging less than 2 yards per carry on the ground, and you're going nowhere doing that. And so that's why this week is really important for the Browns to win, because this may be their last chance for quite a while. I hate to say it, but again, shaping up similar to last year around this time, the first weekend of November, they picked up that 4th win. They pulled the 4-5 with a win over Baltimore, and we kind of looked at the next week against Cincinnati and said, okay, this is sort of the crossroads of the season. If they win this, then sky's the limit. If they lose, the bottom may fall out. So the Browns are right about that point where if they don't win this week, it's possible, I'm not saying it is going to happen, but it's possible this could be it. This might be their last win of the year if they cannot find a way to solve the running game. If you know, they're going to start running it up against some much better teams than what they've been playing these last 2 weeks. And so if they can't pick up win number 5 this week, it's going to be a while before number 5 comes along.
JK, sports writer extraordinaire. We'll see what they do with that. By the way, I hadn't mentioned it, but I did just got a